So the first one is that it is strongly typed, and I like this benefit because there is the chance of running into some problems when it comes to an integer versus a float. If we can strongly type some of this out, well, that's helpful. Now, of course, in REST, we had data structures, but those data structures still didn't have strong typing even at a scalar level. And so I find that GraphQL can be really helpful from a strong typing perspective, i.e. reducing errors, rounding errors, etc., etc. As such, then the second point, I kind of already started jumping into this, is that it is highly structured. So we can embed basically service. I'm saying using the word service contracts. We can embed service contracts into other service contracts, etc. That's how we would think of it in relation to Magento terms. But it's very there's a great hierarchy that is available with GraphQL. You can embed. It's pretty. Actually, I would say it's somewhat similar to SOAP in that way. REST is the service contracts as they apply to REST is very loosely defined, right? Magento uses the input data processor and I think output data processor. It uses those to take a REST JSON object through the REST through a REST message, and it transforms it into service contracts, but none of that is actually exposed to the front end. So it's left up to Magento to make those assumptions, and it can get us into trouble sometimes. As such, having this very high level of structure defined on the for the front end to use can only help things out. Another thing is you can pass arguments to subqueries. So in a REST, it's just a JSON object, and while you can pass extra data. We make it work with REST. A cool part of GraphQL is that you can just pass in arguments into subqueries to get combine multiple queries into one call. The benefit of that is that you don't have to hit an endpoint quite as often. You can get more data in one sitting. GraphQL is kind of forward compatible, as much as that can be. But the idea with it being forward compatible is that instead of creating a new version, which is one way to make REST compatible with future versions, right? When we create our API endpoints in webapi.xml, we usually put like a v1/ and then whatever in there. And technically speaking, we could create a v2/ whatever. We could put all that in there. But that's not necessarily required with GraphQL, because the idea is if you need to add something in the future, you just create a new attribute. You create a new field that can be queried, and then APIs that are compatible with that can select that new field to be queried.